Elder Thesson stood in the great hall of the Galactic Council and tried not to show his despair. Behind him, projected on the massive screens, images of his dying homeworld flickered. The sun that had warmed Varan for millions of years was collapsing early. Their scientists didn't know why. They only knew that in less than 2 cycles, the world would be uninhabitable. 3 billion Varani needed a new home. Your request is denied, the Hexoth representative said. Her voice was cold and final. We cannot accept 3 billion refugees. The economic burden would be too great. Our Thesson had heard similar words from 12 other species already. The Galactic Council chamber, with its floating seats arranged in a great circle, had become a place of rejection. Each species had their reasons: too expensive, too many mouths to feed, security concerns, cultural differences. The list went on. Perhaps a temporary arrangement? Thesson asked, his voice weak. Just until we can find another solution? Temporary becomes permanent, the Zorvath delegate responded. We have seen this before. The answer is no. One by one, the species of the council voted. One by one, they rejected the Varani plea. Thesson watched the votes appear on the display. Red marks. All red. His people were doomed. Then he noticed one delegation that hadn't voted yet. The humans. Earth's representative sat quietly in his seat, a young diplomat named Min-Jun Park. Humans were new to the council, only members for 20 years. They were a strange species from a heavy-gravity world. Most species considered them too aggressive, too emotional, too unpredictable. Thesson had little hope, but he had nothing left to lose. Ambassador Park, he said, turning to face the human. Does Earth have an answer to our request? Min-Jun stood up. He was tall for his species, with dark hair and sharp eyes. When he spoke, his voice carried clearly through the chamber. We will help you, Min-Jun said simply. The chamber went silent. Thesson felt his heart beat faster. You will accept some refugees? Thesson asked carefully. How many can Earth accommodate? Min-Jun shook his head. You misunderstand, Elder Thesson. We will not give you temporary shelter. We will find you a home. A real home. A world of your own. Laughter erupted in the council chamber. The Hexoth representative laughed so hard she had to steady herself. The Zorvath delegate made a sound like choking. Impossible, the Hexoth said between laughs. Finding a suitable garden world, surveying it, claiming it, preparing it for settlement? This takes decades. The Varani have less than 2 cycles. Min-Jun's expression didn't change. We are aware of the timeline. Humans, the Zorvath delegate said with contempt in his voice. You have been a spacefaring species for barely 100 years. You know nothing of what you promise. This is beyond your capability. Perhaps, Min-Jun replied calmly. But we will try anyway. The Hexoth representative leaned forward. And what do you want in return, human? What is your price for this impossible promise? Min-Jun looked at her with an expression Thesson couldn't quite read. We want the Varani to survive. That's all. More laughter filled the chamber. Thesson felt his hope dying again. The human meant well, but the other species were right. It was impossible. No one could find and prepare a world in less than 2 cycles. The council session ended. The rejection was official. The Varani would have to find another way, though Thesson couldn't imagine what that would be. Perhaps they could modify their refugee ships for longer journeys. Perhaps some would survive in space until they found an unclaimed world themselves. As Thesson prepared to leave, Min-Jun approached him. Elder Thesson, the human said. Our survey ships leave tomorrow. We will find you a world. Thesson looked at this young human with his impossible confidence. Ambassador Park, I appreciate your kindness. But the council is right. There isn't enough time. We'll see, Min-Jun said. He handed Thesson a communication device. Stay in contact with us. We move quickly. That night, Thesson contacted the Varani government. He gave them the bad news about the council rejection. He mentioned the human offer, but cautioned against hoping too much. It was a kind gesture from a young species that didn't understand the scope of what they promised. 3 days later, the communication device Min Jun gave him activated. It was a human captain named Hae-won Song. She appeared on the screen, wearing a military uniform, standing on the bridge of a ship. Behind her, Thesson could see crew members working at various stations. "Elder Thesson," she said. "We've found something. Sending coordinates now." Thesson's hands shook as he opened the data file. It was a complete planetary survey. A garden world, unclaimed, in a stable system. Oxygen, nitrogen, atmosphere, gravity 0.92 standard. Temperature ranges perfect for Varani biology. Abundant water. Native plant life compatible with Varani agriculture. It was perfect. It was impossible. This survey, Thesson said slowly. How long did this take? Captain Song smiled. 3 days. We had 12 survey ships searching in different sectors. This is the best one we found. But we have 3 other candidates, if you prefer different options. 3 days, Thesson repeated. He felt dizzy. We're transmitting all data to your government now, Captain Song continued. Our diplomatic corps is filing the claim paperwork with the council. The world will be registered as New Varan within the week. Registered to Earth? Thesson asked. Captain Song's smile faded. She looked confused. No, Elder Thesson. Registered to the Varani people. It's your world. We're just helping you claim it properly. Thesson sat down heavily. His legs wouldn't support him anymore. You're giving us a world? Yes, Captain Song said, as if it were the simplest thing in the universe. Isn't that what you needed? Thesson looked at the survey data again. At the beautiful blue and green world on his screen. At the human captain, with her matter-of-fact expression. Yes, he whispered. Yes, it is. He had asked for shelter. Somehow, these strange humans had found them a home. Thesson stood in Ambassador Min Jun Park's office, on Earth's council station. Through the window, he could see dozens of species moving through the corridors. None of them had stopped to help the Varani. Only the humans. The claim is approved, Min Jun said, sliding a data tablet across his desk. New Varan is officially registered to the Varani people. Congratulations, Elder Thesson. You have a new homeworld. Thesson picked up the tablet with trembling hands. He scrolled through the legal documents, looking for the clauses, the restrictions, the payment terms, the obligations. Every species in the galaxy knew that nothing came free. I don't see the rental agreement, Thesson said carefully. Min Jun looked confused. Rental agreement? Yes. How much do we owe Earth for use of the world? What percentage of resources must we provide? What trade agreements are required? Number send. Number senders. Number senders way. 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 Min Jun leaned back in his chair. Elder Thesson. There is no rental agreement. The world is yours. Completely. But the surveying costs, the claim registration fees, the navigation data. Surely Earth expects compensation? We expect you to survive, Min Jun said quietly. That's all. Thesson set the tablet down. His people had lived in the galactic community for thousands of years. He understood how things worked. Species didn't give away entire worlds out of kindness. What do you want from us? Thesson asked directly. Please. Ambassador Park. I must know the true cost. Min Jun was quiet for a moment. Then he stood and walked to the window. My grandmother lived through a war, he said. A terrible war that destroyed half of Korea. When it ended, she was a refugee with nothing. No home, no food, No family left alive. Thesson listened carefully. Another country took her in, Minjun continued. They gave her food, shelter, education. They asked for nothing in return. My grandmother always said she survived because someone decided her life was worth saving, even though she was a stranger. Minjun turned to face Thesson. The Varani are not strangers asking for charity. You are people who need help. We're able to help. That's enough reason. Thesson felt something break inside him. He had been holding fear and despair for so long. Now, faced with simple kindness, he couldn't hold it anymore. He sat down and wept. Minjun waited quietly until Thesson composed himself. I'm sorry, Thesson said, wiping his eyes. We expected rejection. We expected impossible prices. We didn't expect this. I know, Minjun said gently. The galaxy can be a hard place. But it doesn't have to be. 2 weeks later, Thesson traveled to New Varan on a human transport ship. Captain Song met him at the airlock with a smile. Wait until you see it up close, she said. The pictures don't do it justice. She was right. As their shuttle descended through the atmosphere, Thesson saw forests and oceans and mountains that took his breath away. The world was beautiful, beyond imagination. But what shocked him wasn't the world itself. It was what the humans had already built on it. That's impossible, Thesson whispered, staring at the view screen. Below them, at the edge of a vast plain near a river, a city stood. Not a temporary settlement, not a refugee camp. An actual city with buildings and roads and infrastructure. We started construction the day the claim was approved, Captain Song explained. We have 3 cities ready for initial settlement. 5 more under construction. Thesson's translator must have been malfunctioning. You built cities? In 2 weeks? We brought in construction ships from 12 human colonies, Captain Song said. Once we knew the Varani were coming, we wanted to have something ready. It seemed cruel to bring you to an empty world with nothing prepared. The shuttle landed near the largest building. When Thesson stepped out onto the soil of New Varan, he saw hundreds of humans working. They were installing equipment, planting gardens, running tests on various systems. A human woman approached. She was covered in dirt and wearing work clothes. Elder Thesson? I'm Engineer Jiwoo Choi. Welcome to New Varan. This city, Thesson said, still trying to process what he was seeing. You built this for us? Jiwoo smiled. We built it with you in mind. Let me show you. She led him through the city. Thesson noticed immediately that nothing was built for human proportions. The doorways were the right height for Varani. The stairs had the proper depth for Varani legs. The colors in the buildings matched Varani aesthetic preferences. How did you know our architectural styles? Thesson asked. We studied your culture, Jiwoo said. Your people have beautiful architecture. We tried to incorporate the elements that seemed most important, the geometric patterns, the natural materials, the integration with water features. They entered a large building. Inside, Thesson saw something that made him stop walking. It was a temple. A perfect recreation of a traditional Varani meditation temple, complete with the sacred pool and the meditation stones arranged in the ancient patterns. We weren't sure we got it right, Jiwoo said, sounding worried. We based it on images from your cultural database. If it's not appropriate, we can modify it. Thesson couldn't speak. He walked to the meditation pool and looked at his reflection in the water. Behind him, the sacred geometry was perfect. Every detail was correct. You built us a temple, he finally said. We built several, Jiwoo replied. Different styles for different philosophical traditions. We wanted everyone to have a place that felt like home. Why? Thesson asked, turning to face her. Why do all of this? We asked for shelter. You're giving us everything. Jiwoo's expression became serious. Because you lost everything. Your world, your homes, your sacred places. All of it gone. We can't give back what you lost, but we can help you start fresh with everything you need. She gestured around the temple. This isn't charity, Elder Thesson. This is what neighbors do. You needed help. We can help. So we do. That evening, Thesson sent a message to the Varani government. He told them about the cities, the temples, the infrastructure that waited for them. He told them about humans who worked day and night to prepare a home for strangers. The first refugee ships would arrive in 1 week. Thesson stood on the balcony of the central tower and looked at the city lights spreading below him. In the distance, he could see the construction lights of the other cities being built, humans working through the night. His people had asked for shelter. These impossible humans had built them a civilization. He wondered what else they would do. He wondered if the galaxy understood what humanity truly was. He suspected they would all find out soon enough. Engineer Ji-Woo Choi stood in the command center and looked at the holographic display of New Varan. Green markers showed completed construction. Yellow markers showed work in progress. The entire planet was covered in markers. Status report, she said to her team. City 1 through City 8 are complete and ready for habitation, her assistant reported. Agricultural sectors are producing food. Water purification systems are operating at full capacity. Hospitals are staffed and supplied. Ji-Woo nodded. And the schools? Completed yesterday. We used the Varani educational philosophy documents. Each school has the traditional meditation gardens and learning circles. Good. Ji-Woo highlighted a region on the map. What about the northern continent? City 9 and 10 are ahead of schedule. We'll have them ready before the second wave of refugee ships arrives. Ji-Woo allowed herself a small smile. Her team had worked miracles. 300 human engineers and 10,000 construction workers had transformed an empty world into a home for billions. They had worked 18-hour days for weeks. No one complained. Everyone understood what was at stake. A message appeared on her console. It was from Elder Thesson, who was coordinating with the incoming refugee ships. Engineer Choi, Thesson's message said. I must speak with you about the construction. It's urgent. Ji-Woo felt her stomach tighten. Had they made mistakes? Were the buildings wrong? She quickly set up a video call. Thesson appeared on the screen. He looked distressed. Elder Thesson, what's wrong? Are the cities not suitable? The cities are perfect, Thesson said. That's the problem. Ji-Woo frowned. I don't understand. Thesson took a breath. Engineer Choi, we asked for basic shelter, temporary structures, maybe some agricultural support. Instead, you've built us everything. Schools that teach our philosophy, hospitals with equipment for our specific biology, agricultural systems that grow our traditional crops. You've even built spaceports and manufacturing facilities. Yes, Ji-Woo said slowly. We wanted to make sure you had everything you needed to thrive, not just survive. But the cost, Thesson said desperately. The resources you've spent. Earth must have invested trillions. How will we ever repay this? Ji-Woo was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Elder Thesson, do you know what humans call a debt that can never be repaid? No. A gift. Ji-Woo leaned forward. We're not keeping track of costs. We're not expecting repayment. We're helping because it's the right thing to do. But your people are working so hard. I see them every day. Building, planting, installing. They're exhausted. We're tired, Ji-Woo agreed. But we're also proud. We're building a future for 3 billion people. That's worth some tired muscles and long days. Thesson shook his head slowly. I don't understand your species. Ji-Woo smiled. We're not complicated. We see people who need help. We have the ability to help. So, we help. It's simple. Nothing about this is simple, Thesson said quietly. After the call ended, Ji-Woo returned to her work. She was reviewing the plans for the research district when her assistant ran into the command center. Engineer Choi, We have a problem. Jiwoo looked up. What kind of problem? We just detected ships entering the system. They're not Varani. They're not human. Jiwoo pulled up the sensor data. 6 ships, medium-sized, heavily armed. The signatures matched known pirate groups. Her blood went cold. They're heading toward the planet, her assistant said. Jiwoo immediately opened a channel to the human defense ships in orbit. There were only 2. Small frigates, meant to provide basic security during construction. They weren't equipped for a fight against 6 pirate vessels. This is Engineer Choi to Defense Commander. We have incoming hostiles. Commander Park Taemin's voice came through immediately. We see them. Engineer, we're moving to intercept. Commander, there are 6 of them, and only 2 of you. Then we better make our shots count. There was no fear in his voice. Only determination. Jiwoo watched on the sensors as the 2 human frigates accelerated toward the incoming pirates. It was insane. It was suicide. But the pirates were heading for New Varan, and the defenseless Varani cities below. The pirate ships opened communication channels, broadcasting to the planet. This is Captain Vexel of the Free Traders Coalition, a rough voice said. New Varan is now under our protection. You will pay tribute for our services. Resistance will be met with force. Free Traders Coalition, Jiwoo muttered. That's what pirates call themselves now? She opened a channel to Elder Thesson. We have a situation. Before she could explain, another voice cut across all channels. It was Commander Park. This is Commander Park Taemin of the Earth Defense Force. You are approaching a world under human protection. Alter course immediately or be destroyed. The pirate captain laughed. 2 small ships against 6? You're brave, but stupid. Human. Stand aside. No, Commander Park said simply. Jiwoo held her breath as the ships closed distance. The pirates opened fire first. The human frigates dodged with incredible precision, their smaller size and better engines giving them an advantage. Then the human ships returned fire. Jiwoo had seen human weapons tested before, but never in actual combat. The results were devastating. Human railguns fired solid projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. The first pirate ship that got hit simply exploded, torn apart by kinetic force. The other pirates scattered, clearly not expecting such resistance. But the human frigates were relentless. They moved like predators, striking and withdrawing, never giving the pirates a clean shot. A second pirate ship exploded, then a third. The remaining 3 pirates fled the system at maximum speed. Commander Park's voice came through the channel again. Jiwoo let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Her hands were shaking. Engineer Choi, Thesson's voice came through. What just happened? Pirates tried to attack, Jiwoo said. Our defense ships drove them off. Drove them off? They destroyed half the pirate fleet? Yes, Jiwoo said. She pulled up a new screen on her console. And now I need to make some calls. This won't be the last time someone tries to threaten New Varan. That night, Jiwoo sent a message to Earth Command. She recommended a permanent defense presence. Not just ships, but orbital stations. New Varan needed protection, and the human frigates had proven they could provide it. The response came back within hours. Admiral Seo Yong-kang would arrive with a fleet within the week. Construction ships for defense stations would follow. Jiwoo looked at the data and felt something settle in her chest. The Varani had asked for shelter. Humanity had built them cities, and now, humanity would shield them from anyone who threatened their new home. Some gifts were worth fighting for. Admiral Seo Yong-kang stood on the bridge of her flagship and watched New Varan grow larger on the view screen. Behind her ship, 15 more vessels maintained formation. Cruisers, destroyers, and support craft. A proper defense fleet. Admiral, we're being hailed by Elder Thesson, her communications officer reported. Put him through. Thesson appeared on the screen. He looked worried. Admiral Kang, I wasn't expecting such a large fleet. Is there a new threat? No immediate threat, Elder Thesson. Seo Yun replied. But after the pirate attack, Earth Command decided New Varan needs permanent protection. We're here to provide it. Permanent? You mean your ships will stay? More than that. Seo-yun pulled up a holographic display. We're establishing orbital defense stations at key points around the planet. We'll maintain a continuous fleet presence. Anyone who wants to threaten New Veran will have to go through us first. Thesson was quiet for a long moment. Admiral, my people are grateful for your help, but we cannot ask you to station your military here indefinitely. The cost, the resources, the risk to your people. You didn't ask. Seo-yun said gently. We're offering. There's a difference. But why? We're not part of Earth's government. We have no alliance treaty. We offer you nothing in return. For this protection. Seo-yun looked at the planet on her screen. She could see the cities built by human hands, now filling with Varani families. You offer us the chance to do something good. That's enough. CO. Construction of the orbital stations began the next day. Human engineering ships positioned massive structures in geosynchronous orbit. Each station bristled with weapons and sensors. Each could independently defend an entire hemisphere of the planet. The galactic community noticed. 1 week after the defense fleet arrived, Ambassador Min Jun contacted Seo-yun. He looked tired. Admiral, the Galactic Council has called an emergency session. They're very upset about our military presence at New Veran. Let me guess, Seo-yun said. They're calling it imperialism. Among other things. The Hexoth are claiming we're establishing a human colony under false pretenses. The Zorvath say we're militarizing an entire sector. The Varani own New Veran, Seo-yun said firmly. We're just making sure no one forgets that. I agree, Min-jun said. But Council wants an explanation. They want you to reduce your fleet presence. No. Min-jun smiled slightly. I thought you'd say that. I'll let them know. The council session was tense. Seo-yun attended via hologram from her ship. She stood in the center of the council chamber, while representatives from dozens of species surrounded her. Admiral Kang, the Hexoth representative began. Earth's military buildup at New Veran is unacceptable. You've positioned enough firepower to threaten half the sector. We positioned enough firepower to defend one planet. Seo-yun corrected. There's a difference. You claim to defend, but who gave you authority to militarize unclaimed space? The Zorvath delegate demanded. The Varani did, Seo-yun said calmly. We're there at their request. Convenient that you also control the planet's development, the Hexoth said. You build their cities. You operate their infrastructure. You command their defense. This looks like occupation, not protection. Seo-yun felt her anger rising but kept her voice level. We built cities because the Varani needed homes. We operate infrastructure because we're still training Varani crews to take over. We command defense because we have the ships and the will to protect them. If that looks like occupation to you, perhaps you should reconsider what actual occupation looks like. Your presence disrupts the balance of power in that region, another delegate said. Multiple species have interests in that sector. Then they should have helped the Varani when they asked for help. Seo-yun replied. They didn't. We did. And now, we're making sure the Varani are safe. For how long? The Hexoth pressed. How long will Earth maintain this expensive military presence? What happens when you decide the cost is too high and withdraw? The Varani will be defenseless. Seo-yun looked directly at the Hexoth representative. We're not withdrawing. Ever. New Veran is under Earth's protection indefinitely. The chamber erupted in protests. Multiple delegates spoke at once, their voices overlapping in anger and concern. This is exactly the imperialism we feared, the Zorvath shouted. You're claiming sovereignty over a planet you don't own, the Hexoth added. Seo-yun waited for the noise to die down. Then she spoke, her voice cold and hard. We don't own New Veran. The Varani own New Veran. We're just making sure nobody else tries to take it from them. If that upsets you, if that disrupts your political games, if that interferes with your plans to exploit a vulnerable species, then good. We don't care about your balance of power. We care about protecting people who need protection. And what if the Varani ask you to leave? The Hexoth challenged. Then we'll leave, Seo-yun said simply. But until they do, we stay. That's our promise to them. The session ended badly. Multiple species filed formal protests. Trade agreements were threatened. Political alliances shifted. Earth didn't care. 3 weeks later, the first Varani Defense Force graduated from human military training. They were small in number, only 50 personnel. But they were trained and ready. Elder Thesson attended the ceremony. Captain Song presented each graduate with their insignia. They would crew one of the orbital stations alongside human personnel, learning and eventually taking over full operations. After the ceremony, Thesson approached Seo-yun. Admiral, I heard about the council session. I'm sorry we've caused problems for Earth. You didn't cause problems, Seo-yun said. We chose to help you. The consequences are ours to handle. But the other species are angry. There's talk of economic sanctions against Earth, Seo-yun shrugged. Let them talk. We've survived worse. Why? Thesson asked, the question he'd asked so many times before. Why risk so much for us? Seo-yun looked at the new Varani officers celebrating with their human instructors. She saw hope and pride on both species' faces. Because somebody has to, she said. The galaxy is full of species who calculate costs and benefits, who measure every action in profit and loss. But some things can't be measured that way. Some things you do because they're right, regardless of the cost. She turned to face Thesson directly. Your people lost everything. We can help you rebuild. So we are. And we'll keep anyone from taking it away from you. That's not imperialism. That's not strategy. That's just what decent beings do for each other. Thesson nodded slowly. My people are learning that not all species think like the Council. We're learning that some still remember kindness. Keep learning, Seo-yun said. And teach your children. The galaxy needs more kindness and less calculation. That night, Seo-yun stood at the observation window of her ship. Below, New Varan glowed with city lights. Her fleet orbited in protective patterns. The defense stations stood ready. She thought about the Council's anger, the political costs, the resources Earth was spending. Then she thought about 3 billion Varani who now had homes, who now had hope, who now had a future. It was worth it. It would always be worth it. The alarms woke Kellis from sleep. He jumped from his bed in the small apartment his family now called home. Through the window, he could see New Varan's 2 moons hanging in the night sky. Beautiful and peaceful. But the alarms meant danger. His mother rushed into his room. Kellis, we need to get to the shelter. What's happening? I don't know. Just hurry. They joined thousands of other Varani flooding into the underground shelters the humans had built beneath every city. Kellis had thought the shelters were excessive when he first learned about them. Now he was grateful. Above them, Admiral Seo-yun Kang watched her tactical display with growing concern. 68 enemy ships had just entered the system. They were organized, coordinated, and heavily armed. This wasn't a pirate raid. This was an invasion force. Identify those ships, she ordered. Signatures match Hexoth, Zorvath, and Kralix vessels, her tactical officer reported. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Let's hear it. A Hexoth voice filled the bridge. This is Fleet Commander Zethys. The human occupation of New Varan ends today. Surrender the planet immediately or be destroyed. You are outnumbered, 4-1. Resistance is futile. Seo-yun looked at her fleet. 16 ships against 68. The odds were terrible. Admiral, her first officer said quietly. We should evacuate. We can't win this fight. Seo-yun thought about the Varani in the shelters below. About Elder Thesson, and engineer Ji Woo, and the thousands of humans still on the planet's surface. About the cities they had built and the future they had promised to protect. "No," she said. "We hold the line." She opened a channel to the enemy fleet. "This is Admiral Seo-Yun Kang. New Varan is under Earth's protection. Leave this system now, or face the consequences." The Hexoth commander laughed. "You're outnumbered and outgunned, human. Be reasonable." "Reason has nothing to do with it," Seo-Yun replied. "This is about keeping a promise." She cut the channel and turned to her crew. "All ships, battle formation. Protect the planet at all costs." The human fleet moved to defensive positions around New Varan. The orbital stations activated their weapon systems. It wouldn't be enough, but they would fight anyway. On the planet's surface, Kellis watched the shelter's display screens showing the space battle beginning above. He saw the 16 human ships facing down the massive enemy fleet. "They can't win," someone whispered nearby. "They're staying anyway," another Varani replied, wonder in their voice. The first shots lit up the darkness of space. Human weapons fired with devastating accuracy. 2 enemy ships exploded in the opening salvo. But there were too many. The enemy fleet surrounded the human defenders, firing from all sides. Captain Song's ship, the destroyer Incheon, took a direct hit. Kellis watched the screen as the ship listed, trailing atmosphere and debris. "Incheon is damaged but still fighting," the shelter coordinator announced. In the underground command center, Elder Thesson contacted Admiral Kang. "Admiral, you must withdraw. Your people are dying for us." "That's their choice," Seo-Yun said, her ship shaking from another impact. "And my choice. We stay." "Please," Thesson begged. "We've already lost our homeworld. Don't make us responsible for losing you too." Seo-Yun's ship rocked from another hit. "Elder Thesson, if we leave, what happens to your people?" Thesson had no answer. Kellis couldn't watch anymore. He was 20 cycles old, young but not a child. While his mother was distracted, he slipped away from the shelter. He ran through empty streets to the spaceport. The human guard there tried to stop him. "Civilian, you need to be in a shelter." "I'm a licensed pilot," Kellis said. "I completed human flight training last month. You need more ships." The guard looked at him for a long moment. Then she stepped aside. "Bay 7. There's a surplus fighter there. It's old, but it flies." Kellis ran to Bay 7. The fighter was indeed old, a training craft left behind by the human military. But it had weapons and engines. It would have to be enough. He launched without clearance, his ship screaming up through the atmosphere. His radio filled with messages from the defense coordinator, ordering him back. He ignored them all. Above the atmosphere, the battle was chaos. Human ships dodged and weaved, their superior maneuverability keeping them alive against overwhelming numbers. But they were taking damage. 3 human ships were already destroyed. The rest were battered and bleeding atmosphere. Kellis keyed his radio to the human military frequency. "This is Varani Fighter. Requesting permission to join the fight." There was a pause. Then Admiral Kang's voice came through, strained but steady. "Varani Fighter, this isn't your battle. Get to safety." "With respect, Admiral, this is exactly my battle. This is my world you're dying to protect." Another pause. Then, "Permission granted. Welcome to the fight, pilot. Try to keep up." Kellis joined the formation, his small fighter dancing between larger vessels. He wasn't a combat pilot. He'd never fired weapons in anger before. But the humans had trained him well. He locked onto an enemy ship and fired. His shots went wide. "Varani Fighter, lead your target more," a human pilot advised calmly. Even as death filled the space around them. "They're moving faster than the training drones." Kellis adjusted and fired again. This time, his shots hit home. The enemy ship's shields flared. More Varani ships began launching from the surface. Not many, maybe 20 in total, Mostly training, craft and civilian vessels hastily armed. But they came, anyway. Admiral. We have more Varani joining the fight, the tactical officer reported. Seo Yun saw the small ships on her display. Untested pilots in inferior vessels, rushing into a battle they couldn't win. It was foolish and brave and heartbreaking. All ships, protect the Varani fighters, she ordered. They're our responsibility. The battle raged for 2 more hours. The human fleet was slowly being overwhelmed, but they fought with a ferocity that shocked the enemy. Every shot counted. Every maneuver was perfect. They made the enemy pay for every meter of space. Then, Captain Song's ship, already heavily damaged, did something unexpected. She rammed her destroyer directly into the enemy flagship. The explosion was massive. Both ships were destroyed instantly. But the enemy flagship took 3 more enemy vessels with it, as its reactor went critical. The enemy fleet wavered. This is Admiral Kang to all human ships. Sioyon broadcast. Captain Song just showed us how to win. If we can't beat them with weapons, we'll beat them with will. No surrender. No retreat. What was left of the human fleet surged forward with renewed fury. The Varani fighters followed, their pilots screaming battle cries in their own language. The enemy fleet broke. Ships that had come for easy conquest fled in panic from defenders who refused to die quietly. The remaining enemy vessels jumped to faster-than-light speed, abandoning the system entirely. Silence fell over the battlefield. Seo Yun looked at her display. 9 human ships remained out of 16. 7 were destroyed. Casualties were in the thousands. The Varani had lost 12 fighters. But New Varan was safe. 3 weeks later, Thesson stood at a memorial service on New Varan's surface. Human and Varani mourners gathered together in the plaza built by human hands. Names were read aloud, human names and Varani names, mixed together. Captain Haewon Song, Lieutenant Chen Wei, Pilot Kellis of family Thesson. Engineer's mate, Rodriguez Maria, Pilot Varix of family Solon. The list went on. When it was his turn to speak, Thesson approached the memorial stone. He looked at the faces in the crowd. Human and Varani, young and old, all touched by loss. My people came to the galaxy as refugees, he began, his voice carrying across the silent plaza. We asked the council for help. We asked for shelter, for a place to rest until we could find our own way. He paused, looking at the names carved in stone. We asked for shelter. Humanity built us a world. We hoped for safety. They shielded it with warships. We needed help. They gave us everything they had, including their lives. Tears ran down his face. We asked for neighbors. They became family. And like family, they fought for us. They died for us. They stood between us and destruction. When the whole galaxy turned away, he placed his hand on the memorial stone. Captain Song didn't have to ram that ship. Admiral Kang didn't have to stay and fight. None of the humans who died here had to sacrifice themselves for us. But they did, because that's what family does. Kellis stood in the crowd, his arm in a medical brace from his damaged fighter. He listened to his grandfather's words and looked at the humans around him. Some were crying. Some stood at attention. All of them had stayed to defend a world that wasn't theirs. After the service, Kellis approached Admiral Kang. She looked tired, with new scars on her face from a console explosion on her ship. Admiral, Kellis said, I wanted to thank you for everything. Seo Yun looked at him. You fought well up there, pilot. Your shots saved lives. I'm applying for official military service, Kellis said. Human or Varani fleet. I don't care. I want to help protect our world. Our world. Seo Yun repeated softly. She smiled. I like the sound of that. She gestured to the city around them, to the mixed crews working on the defense stations above, to the future being built by 2 species together. We came here to give you a home, she said. But somewhere along the way, It became our home too. Varani and human. Together. Kellis looked up at the sky where human and Varani ships now patrolled together. My grandfather says we asked for shelter. And we gave you a world worth fighting for, Sioyon finished. Worth dying for. Worth living for. She placed a hand on his shoulder. Welcome to the family. Pilot, high above, the orbital stations stood sentinel. Human and Varani crews worked side by side, watching the stars for threats. Below, cities thrived with mixed populations. Children of both species played in parks designed by human engineers according to Varani aesthetics. The galaxy had offered the Varani nothing but closed doors. Humanity had offered everything, asking nothing in return. And in doing so, both species had found something precious. Not just a home, not just allies, family.